The Ram 1500 lineup is about to lose its superstar HEMI V8 engine. I'm going to tell you why that sucks in this review and all the other stuff you need to know about the Ram 1500 DT model range in Australia, because there's a lot to cover, there are a lot of variants, there's a lot of considerations you want to keep in mind with this big truck. Stay tuned, and if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. Let's get to it. Look, this isn't a cheap truck range, and the entry-level model, the Bighorn, is about $120,000. So look, that's quite a lot of cash, and it does come with some good equipment. So you've got heated front seats, you've also got a heated steering wheel, a really nice cloth trim, an 8.4-inch touchscreen media system. And look, it feels a little bit basic on the inside, but it looks pretty tough from the outside. And also it comes with the option of a short wheelbase, short tub, or a long tub, as you'll see. And it's a really, really big tub. Just keep in mind that you get halogen headlights on that spec, but you don't if you step up to the Laramie grade, which is the one above it. It adds a bunch of extra features as well, including a bigger touchscreen media system. You also get some nice features inside, different interior trim, and it does look and feel, well, a bit more special. Gets bigger wheels as well, and LED lights, as I mentioned. And in that Laramie, you also get heated and cooled front seats, heated outboard second row seats, and electric adjustable pedals, so you can make it a bit more driver friendly, depending on if you've got different size drivers or not. But if you step up to this one here, which is the Laramie Sport, you do get a few extra features which you will appreciate, especially if you value safety technology and equipment. I'll tell you more about that in the safety section, but there's some things that make this car a lot easier to live with, like a surround view camera, for instance. You also get a 12-inch digital instrument display, and at the back of this vehicle, the Laramie Sport, you also get the Ram Box Cargo Solution system. So you've got these boxes on the side of the vehicle which add a little bit of extra storage. It does narrow down the tub space a little bit, but you do get a tonneau cover for the tub as well. Then you've got the top of the range for the standard model range, the Limited, which comes with 22-inch wheels, air suspension, a panoramic sunroof, and a $20,000 price hike. It does have a few other features as well, but it's only for some buyers, I would say. And speaking of only for some, the Ram 1500 TRX is the top spec model. It is a mammoth machine. It has a huge supercharged V8 engine with heaps of power and torque. In fact, it's the most powerful pickup truck on the planet as a mass production vehicle. So it is a really impressive thing, but it's 225 grand. So it'd bloody want to be impressive for that kind of cash. All right, let's talk about some of the competitors to the Ram 1500 range. There are some standout alternatives when it comes to the Ram 1500 pickup truck. I've driven a few of them, including the Ford F-150. Now hit the link at the top of your screen or find it in the description to see my detailed review of the F-150 lineup, including a towing test. And it does perform exceedingly well considering it's got a 6-cylinder engine. It's not just any old 6 though, it's a pretty punchy turbo 6. So it could be the right ute for you if you're looking for a big but still very efficient version of this kind of truck. And also I reckon that there are some features that you get in the F-150 lineup which, well, you can't get in the same sort of price points in the Ram 1500 range. So it could be a really good choice for you. Another option you might want to consider is the Toyota Tundra. Now it comes with hybrid turbo 6-cylinder power. So yeah, it's going to be powerful and efficient too. And also it's got a really distinct look to it as well. And I really think that it does look like something from the future, whereas these other trucks look a bit more traditional. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Would you choose one of those, or would you go for the Chevy Silverado, which still comes with a mammoth V8 engine, still comes with huge towing capacity, and doesn't really worry about fuel consumption because, hey, it's got a 6.2 litre V8 under the bonnet. So it's not necessarily going to be right for everyone, but I could totally understand why you'd choose it over these other rivals. But again, let me know in the comments which you would pick. You're going to need to get out the measuring tape here, people, because this is a big rig, as you would expect. It's almost 6 meters long. It's more than 6.1 meters long if you choose the long wheelbase version. Now, just have a look at the width of it too. It's about, mirror to mirror, 2.5 meters wide, thereabouts. So yeah, it takes a bit of learning when it comes to lane adjustments, but it's also very tall. So if you have car parks that you often go to, you're going to need to take note that this is 1.9 meters tall or taller. And also, I do like the fact that you get these really handy pop-out side steps, which make getting into the vehicle just so much easier. And also there are some really clever features when it comes to the tray. Right, let's look at these Ram boxes first. These are fantastic because they offer you quick access to things that you might otherwise have had to dive into the tub to get. So you can put tools in here that you regularly use, or you can put things in here which you want to keep separate from stuff in the tub. So if you don't want things getting dirty in the back, then you can put them in here. Also, these are drainable, so you can fill them with ice and drinks and be the hero of the work site. Now, let's have a look at this back end. So this tailgate does open with a nice damped movement, and also as standard you get a tub liner. It's a spray-in liner. It's not one of those I guess slippery plastic ones that you find in some other vehicles. And you've got this cargo cover system here as well. It's got these lovely little pull down hooks that make it very easy to interact with, and you can just fold it back. It folds in thirds. And then you've also got this cargo management system. So this allows you to adjust how much space you've got to reach in. Keep in mind, it is a bit of a reach. You might have to go from the side or climb into the tub. But look, this just allows you an extra option. If you want to keep things separate in the back, again, they've really thought of some really smart systems in the back of this vehicle. Now also, you get a couple of LED lights in the back here, some tie down hooks too. So it really does nail the brief when it comes to the big truck mindset of offering buyers a lot of stuff for their money. Now, speaking of getting good stuff for your money, all grades come with a towing kit. So you've got a tow bar, and you've also got electronic brake controller inside the cabin in all models, which is really great to see. And when it comes to towing capacity, yes, it does nail the brief, and a spare wheel too. So if you're choosing the Laramie Sport version of this vehicle, you are getting a far more luxurious experience than if you choose one of the entry-level grades, because you've got this big 12-inch touchscreen media system, which is in a portrait display, and you've also got the digital instrument cluster here too. So I reckon that this is one of the better examples of a portrait design, because you've got the touchscreen system, which is all very easy to get to terms with, pretty quick to load as well, but you've also got buttons down the side here for your fan control, your temperature control as well. There are some weird things about the way this screen displays things though. So it's kind of like a ghost of the left-hand drive vehicle that remains. So you've got over this side, you can see when you turn on the seat heaters for the driver's seat and the steering wheel, yeah, it shows up on the left, same with the right. And when you adjust the temperatures, it all flickers and looks a little bit as though it wasn't quite finished to the degree that it could have been. But it doesn't influence the way that the controls work or the screen itself, which is actually pretty good. I found it very easy to learn. And I will say though that again, the volume knob is on the reach for its side and the tuning knob's on the closer side of the driver. But maybe that's to give the passenger a bit of control, because you do have controls on the steering wheel. They're those weird ones that are behind the steering wheel for your tuning and volume. Then you've got different steering wheel controls at the front of the steering wheel as well. So all told, I reckon that the controls in here are pretty good. Just keep in mind though that your gear selector is down here, and that's also where you'll find your stop start off button if you want to turn that system off, and your four-wheel drive selector modes are there as well. Now, you've also got this digital instrument screen. As I said, it does have a few different configurable layouts that you can choose from, and it does offer you, well, information at a quick glance, which is really great to see. Now, when it comes to storage in here, you've got a wireless phone charger pad here. So you can just tuck your phone in there and that charges your phone up nicely. There's a big storage tray under here. You've also got a sliding center console section as well with cup holders and a bunch of like pen holders or something. Got a fold up section here with your logbooks or your service manual or whatever it is. And then underneath that, you can get access to this center console bin again. And here you've got a ruler and a protractor and a bunch of different measurements and metrics as well. So it's kind of neat to have that much stuff on board in the cabin. You've got bottle holders in the doors. You've got multiple storage options in the doors, in fact. You've got a twin glove box set up over here as well. So it really does nail the brief when it comes to the usability of the space. You've got a bunch of different USB ports here, a little storage section for another device if you wish in there, and another storage spot so you could put two phones if you're running a work phone, one on wireless, one on USB. Look, there are plenty of options in here. This is a really thoughtful cabin, and it's also pretty good in the back seat. Let's have a look. Yep, I'm leaving my daughter's seat in for this one because it's not a pain to get out, but it is a bit of a pain when you are trying to attach the top tether, which is a single central top tether mount behind this seat here. Thankfully, you can lower down the seat to make it a little bit easier. You've got cup holders as a result of that as well, and a storage section too. Interestingly though, you do have 3 ISOFIX points in the back here. So you've got one there, one in the middle, and one over here, but only one top tether point to deal with. So it could be a little bit annoying if you do plan to put 3 kid seats in the back, because some people will, because this car offers you that practicality. And it is a really practical space in terms of adult occupants as well. This seat, look at that, set for me. Heaps of room there, lots and lots of foot space. There's also heaps of headroom too. And it's a very wide cabin. So 3 adults across the back is not going to be an issue. Even people who are much, much bigger than I will find this to be a very accommodating backseat experience. Now, speaking of accommodation, you do have some really nice features. You've got directional air vents down here, a couple of USB and USB-C ports, heated seat buttons for this spec, and you've also got storage pockets on the backs of the seats. There's bottle holders in the doors, that flip down armrest I mentioned earlier. You don't get grab handles in the back, but you do get pull me in handles, so that is kind of helpful. You do get these little hooks to maybe hang a suit jacket or something like that from, but it is a very practical backseat experience. And you also get a window back here. It's a gun window, I think they're called, so that's a nice thing to have if you do want to let a little bit more air into the back. Yes, it's good, it's comfortable, and I reckon it's going to be really, really good if you just need a big truck with big space. Plus, it's also worth noting that you can fold up the seat bases independently of one another too, so that's very handy. And you also get these really handy underfloor storage containers, so you can put whatever you want in there and also measure it up to see how big it is. Maybe you could put a fish in there. I would not put a fish in there. So the Ram 1500 lineup comes with a 5.7 litre petrol V8 engine, and it is an absolute cracker. It's still got plenty of power and torque, as you'll see on your screen, an auto transmission as standard, and 4-wheel drive as standard as well. And it also comes with a mild hybrid system in there to help make it a little bit smoother to drive in stop-start situations. So it'll cut the engine off for you at lower speeds or when you're coming up to a standstill, and then restart it to help you save just a little bit of fuel. Now, if you're not interested in saving fuel, you could choose the high-spec TRX version, which gets a completely different engine, but again, it's going to lose that engine very shortly as well. So if you want the most powerful, most manic Ram 1500 you can get, you're going to have to act pretty quickly because, well, it's on its way out. The engine is the talking point, right? So it is an absolute corker of a thing. It has so much grunt and it feels so up to the task, no matter what the task is, whether it's just running around town. I've towed a 4.5 ton tiny house with one of these in the past, and it was exceptionally good. And look, that's the breadth of capability and ability that this big truck has that makes it so appealing. If you are just running around town, yeah, cool. If you are doing highway Ks or towing a horse float or towing a tiny house or whatever it may be, this thing is going to be up to the job. Now, a lot of that comes down to the fact that it's got a clever 8-speed automatic transmission, which is very, very good at picking what gear it needs to be in, depending on what is happening at the time. And it's also pretty smooth shifting and sharp shifting at higher speeds too. So I don't really have any complaints about the engine and transmission, apart from the fact that, well, they're done for. The Hurricane engine that will come after the HEMI, a 6-cylinder turbo unit, I'm sure it'll be more efficient and more powerful, but I'm not sure that it's going to have the same sort of character that this V8 does, because it is a character. Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And you will too if you are a fan of V8s. It does have a nice note to it. It doesn't have a sports exhaust or anything, but it is still pretty beefy sounding. So if you do want the character and I guess the chorus that comes with it, then it could be a good choice for you. All right, so engine's great, transmission's good. You've also got a pretty decent dynamic setup here. Like, it's not necessarily a corner carving masterclass, but it's not supposed to be. And it is pretty good to drive in corners, considering it is such a big vehicle. It's got big 20-inch wheels in this spec, which are quite heavy and do pick up on lumps and bumps in the road surface, but it does have a really decent ride characteristic to it. Look, I'll go over this patch here, which is a bit of a telltale one for me. Here we go. Doesn't even really feel it. So I reckon it's going to be a really good truck for you if you do a lot of highway Ks, or if you deal with a lot of less than perfect road surfaces. It could be great. I'll also just add that it does have pretty positive brake response as well. It's got four-wheel disc brakes, and while you can feel the weight of this vehicle when you do come to a stop, it does pull up pretty honestly, I reckon. And when it comes to steering, look, again, it's not a Mini Cooper. It's not small, and don't expect it to be super simple to park, especially in tighter spots. The long wheelbase one, well, it can be much more of a handful in tight spots because it's got such a long tub that you do sort of feel like you might end up scraping the sides on pillars or something like that in car parks. So just be careful with that one, is my recommendation. But all told, this is a fantastic rig. I reckon it's going to be the right truck for a lot of people for a lot of reasons, and I could understand why you'd want to get in and get a V8 while you still can, because it's a corker. What about the fuel that it uses? On your screen now, you'll see the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure for the Ram 1500 standard model range, and that on paper is not too bad. In fact, in reality, this rig is not too bad when it comes to fuel consumption. You'll see on screen now what I've seen across a mix of driving in this Ram 1500 over about a week, including the tedious stuff like just driving down to the shops or going to daycare drop-off and pick-up, which I enjoyed, so did my daughter, and I reckon that is pretty good. There's a bit of freeway driving in there as well, so that probably pulled the number down a bit, but yeah, don't go thinking that you'll get that if you plan to go towing or off-roading. You'll see more like 18, 19, maybe 20 litres per 100 in my experience if you do tow something quite heavy, which is still pretty good. And if 20 litres per 100 doesn't really scare you, the TRX could be a good choice because it'll do about that as the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure. And like I said, I haven't driven it, but I wouldn't want to be up for the fuel bill for that one anyway. There is no ANCAP safety rating for the Ram 1500. The safety authority has said that it is looking to test some of these big US trucks in order to see where they stack up in terms of safety gear. But I'm telling you right now that the entry-level versions might not fare that well, because the base model Bighorn version in the DT Ram 1500 lineup only has a reversing camera and rear parking sensors and airbags, dual front, front side and full length curtain coverage. That's all it's got. So that's not fantastic, considering the money that's being asked here, 120 grand, and you're not getting any active safety technology. And in fact, if you step up to the Laramie spec, you only get autonomous emergency braking and front parking sensors. So yeah, even that base model doesn't have front sensors. Now, if you step up from there to this one here, which is the Laramie Sport, you do get a fair few more features, including active lane keeping assistance, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and you also get a surround view camera as well, which you need in a rig this big, trust me. It really depends what your priorities are when it comes to choosing your Ram 1500, but for me, I'd have to be going for a Laramie Sport at least in order to get the safety stuff that I expect for this kind of money. This could be the bit that rules this truck out for you. There's only a 3-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty for the Ram 1500 lineup, which is behind the times compared to its rivals, which come with 5 years of warranty. I'm talking about the Ford in particular. Now, also, you get 3 years of roadside assist included. At least that's a nice inclusion. But the service intervals are every 12 months or 12,000 kilometers. So if you do a lot of Ks, it's going to be a pain to maintain this vehicle. Oh, and there's no cap price servicing plan, so it's not great. So all told, I reckon this is a fantastic big pickup truck. I actually prefer it to drive compared to the Ford F-150 in some ways. I think it does have, well, just a bit more character to it, but I do think that the V8 engine is the telltale part here. I can't wait to drive the 6-cylinder Ram 1500 to see what it's like in the future. But if you are thinking about a Ram 1500 and you want or need a V8, you better act smartly because, as I said, its days are numbered.